Anatatashi. O Genki desu ka? Majority des. And today, I got a great video for you. A review / discussion of Yu Hakusho. Enjoy. So before I begin, I'd actually like to dedicate this video to 3 of my friends. The Completionist, BioPhoenix, and Outlaw Harvest. Each of whom I find very well versed in anime, especially when speaking about it in YouTube videos. They're, how do I put this? They know what they're talking about, and they each have a different way of going about it. So if you're looking for great channels to talk about anime, I highly recommend them. I think they're great for what they do anyway, as far as their content, but especially in terms of anime. As for me, I have an interesting history with anime, although not a very long one. Yu Hakusho actually marks the 3rd anime that I've watched religiously, from start to finish. The first was Dragon Ball Z. I watched that when I was about 13 or 14 years old, all 280 some odd episodes. I watched it with my friend. We would kind of like challenge each other to watch more than the other, and I really got into it. The next was Uzumaki Naruto. I watched that like a year or 2 later, and I watched it up until the episode that was airing at the time, which was 240. I liked that for what it was as well. And now, some 10 plus years afterwards, I just finished watching Yu Hakusho. And that is by far the best anime I've watched. Of the 3, anyway. And there's so many reasons for it. But I'll say first that in terms of anime, you know, I've dabbled in a few here and there. But not all of them hook me in. So a lot of times I just stop. I stopped Inuyasha. I stopped Yokai Watch. But Yu Hakusho kept me in it. And to me, that's because the premise is strong and the characters are strong. And the message is good, too. It's also just a well-designed show where everything works well backwards. But let's talk about the premise first. Because even though Yu Hakusho is orthodox, the manner in which it tackles some subjects isn't. And I like it because even though it's a show about fighting and fighting demons or yokai, it handles it in a way where it kind of leaves you guessing as to what's going to happen and keeps you interested throughout for the characters, for the conflicts, and just to see what other challenges lie ahead. So let's talk about some of the characters. The main character is Yusuke, Urameshi Yusuke. And he's like this high school boy, or middle school actually. Middle school is kind of like high school there from what I was getting. He's really powerful. He's a fighter. He's a human. But the first episode, he dies. Imagine that. And of course, it doesn't just end there. It's not a flashback either. He gets contracted to fight the demons as they enter into the spirit, the human realm, and meddle in their affairs. But he doesn't like the position. He just likes to fight. And so seeing his kind of energy and his enthusiasm, his fighting spirit, it's encouraging. Because a lot of times he gets knocked down, he gets beat up, but he never lets that stop him. And seeing how the other characters react to that is where the show really gets its flame. And it's, the energy that keeps you interested. Because Yusuke is almost inspiring, right? Even though he's a prick, and he loves to fight people, and he picks on his girlfriend, he's what serves as like a motivating force for a lot of the other characters in the show. Kuwabara-kun, this big goofy guy who goes to a rival school, ends up being like his buddy and always joking about fighting him and wanting to come out stronger and knowing that he's going to fight him and win one day. The 2 demons that kind of join their side, I don't want to give too much away, but you kind of see where it goes once you see the mascots for the show. Kurama and Hiei, they also have an interesting character dynamic with Yusuke. Hiei's reserved and cool, but he's also harboring this big anger. Kurama's a bit more of like this gentlemanly, cool, and alluring character. You know, he uses like the power of flowers and stuff. Sounds corny, but once you see what he pulls out, like some of his stunts, it's really impressive. It's the character dynamic that keeps the show going, especially between the girls and the guys too. There's a lot of hidden jokes or like running jokes throughout the series. I love how many times they can call each other idiot and how it never gets stale, and all the different contexts it comes up in, and a lot of the running jokes throughout the series. Even the leader of the spirit realm, Koenma, he's kind of this comedic relief character as well. He's like this little baby with a pacifier, but he's running the show as to who gets stamped into the spirit realm and moves on after death anyway. But he's always there to, you know, bicker at Yusuke or, you know, comment on the fights as they go on. It's hilarious. But let's talk about the fights for a minute, because that's really the meat and potatoes of the show. And let me drink some water because it is so hot here. But I must fight on. And refresh that computer, because when I stop it at 10 minutes, the audio goes bonkers. Or when the screensaver goes up. Anyways, the fights, because I'm not even speaking English anymore. The fights. The fights are where the show really gets its strength. Because, you know, by comparison to Dragon Ball Z, these feel a lot more about actual fighting. It's not all fist fights. There is a big focus on spirit energy and the types of abilities that different characters have. But there is plenty of fist fighting, and you see a lot of like the punches and dodges, even if they are moving fast. It's not like the dash and teleport that you see from Dragon Ball Z or Naruto. You actually get the sense that this is a legitimate fight, and you see like how strong characters are and the kind of passion they have, and you just really get into it, or I did anyway. And as far as like the types of characters that come up, you know, that's where some of these animes get overwhelming. There's just so many, and that they just keep throwing new characters at you. And they do. There are new characters. But it's not like a lot of them disappear. A lot of them become important later on. And the abilities are what keep you guessing as to how the central characters are going to overcome the obstacles and the odds. Like, what do you do when you go against an enemy who mutters incantations and steals the abilities of other opponents? What do you do when you come against an enemy that can regenerate parts of his body and move his heart and his delicate portions to other parts of the body? It keeps you guessing, and it's a very real show. So like even in those situations, not every character is suited to the occasion. And that's where a lot of the drama and the tenseness comes up. How much can you bank on one character doing it? And when he falls, is he even going to survive? And how will that affect the other characters and you while you're watching? To me, those were some of the most, I don't know, pulling moments of the show, where I cared about the characters and where I saw how the death or near death of other characters affected Yusuke or the others. I had some really emotional moments in this show, and I loved it for that. It was difficult to watch at times, but I also found it powerful, if that makes sense. And the comedic relief is really what just keeps it going too, because, you know, they're all humans. Even if this is a show about humans and demons fighting, coexisting, etc., there are some very human traits to it. And the exaggerations are what make it so much fun to watch. Now, as far as for me, what made me driven to watch it at this given time in my life? I think that's the big question, because I can throw all these facts at you and say, like, these are cool things, like people shooting dragons out of their arms or firing a ray gun out of your fingertips. But what kept me driven watching this is that it just felt so 90s. It felt so cool. It felt like, while Dragon Ball Z and Naruto feel like some of the more mainstream Japanese anime, this felt like that hidden kind of, like the good stuff, right? The stuff is like, where's this been hiding all this time? And I remember seeing episodes of this on Cartoon Network, like, on a very sporadic basis. I could never tell when it was on, but I always really liked the concept, and I just never got a chance to watch it. But with the advent of technology and people who stream this stuff on YouTube, I did watch it. And, it's the art style, it's the music. The music complements the action going on so much, like so well. Like Kuwabara's theme. Kuwabara's almost like a Groose kind of character in Skyward Sword, right? Oh, he shouldn't have said Skyward Sword. I don't know, it just kind of invigorates me, and it's inspiring, and I was really happy every time I was home and I had like 20 minutes to myself. I'd watch an episode, I'd watch the next one, and even though anime is not ideal for binge watching, it just felt so much fun to just go in every night and see where the show was going and how it was kind of activating memories of the previous episodes and thinking about putting into conversation the character elements of then with character elements of now. And the ending is far from your conventional ending. Not like the last episode per se, but it's not what you'd expect. And I actually really like the show for some of the steps that it took, as well as the integrity of the anime as a whole. So I guess I could talk on and on. I will say that, like, there's several sagas. I think they all play well into each other. I think the Toguro saga is the strongest one. It's also like called the Dark Tournament. There's a game based on it for the PlayStation 2 that I'm going to cover soon. But I think as a whole, it's really a rewarding experience to watch. So that's it. That was my first anime review. Hey, cheers to me. Cheers to you. You. No, you. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you later in another video. And maybe in like 4 moons from now, 4 blue moons, with another anime review. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. T out. Sayonara.